5 more minutes and then we'll get cracking.
I think I did this right, this graph.
6, 7, 8, 9.
So I counted up what I had, and I just plotted it here. So for M, we found everything on this graph.
Yeah.
And for L, we plotted it was 14 and a half here, D is 14. Next 3, and then 0, and 2. Okay, so you are the highest, with the highest 2. So you have this one here. Alright, and we'll go for this.
Plot this one.
I'm trying to remember what that
Oh, yeah.
was.
3, 1, 2, 11. Circle 3. And circle 1. And 2. And then circle 1. So you have the highest 2.
I did differently on this than I did on the other one.
It could be that they use a different type. And this is, I'm not the specialist to run this kind of stuff, but I just wanted to give you that little example.
That sounds like an awful person to be a realtor.
Hey,
I'll go over all of that.
Oh my God.
6.
Maybe I should become a floor sweeper or something.
A what?
Floor sweeper or as maid or something, because that's what I sound like. I'm serious.
All of us have different personalities. And
Yeah, this is different than that.
Did you get it as well?
Well, yes and no. The other one I had an IID. This is,
3, 4.
Is this the disc test? What is it?
the disc profile test.
Oh, okay.
Just do the L column, because that's, L is you, right? How do you
On the
do it?
page 2, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
So on page 2, you're putting these down. 5, 10, 2, and 4. So you are SC.
I'm SC?
Mhm.
Okay.
And Ox 1, 2 again.
Okay. And you don't want to do the...
This was a big aha and an eye-opener for me back in 2012, when Paul Allen did a class on this, and we all had to guess who he was, and he in real life was completely different than what we thought he was. And then I also took a class with a couple of other mega agents, and all they talk about is, oh, he's a DI, and the combination would be this and that, and I'm like, well, what does that mean? And I thought of myself as not quite as a strange person. I don't want you to think I have low self-esteem or anything like that, but I'm not a very outgoing person. I can only tolerate people for a certain period of time. That's why, I kind of have to go and hide. However, when I discovered that a lot of the times all of us have different personalities, and when they did the testing, they determined that there's, a majority of 4 different personalities that are there. And you're not just one particular letter. You're usually a combination of 2 or maybe sometimes 3, depending on what your likes and dislikes and your patience and your tolerance for different things. So if you want to look at the next page, here's your quadrant that you want to look at. There's four quadrants and the combinations of the personalities that we want to cover. For example, I am a DC. I am one of the few agents that is actually organized, who has a nice filing cabinet, and I know where all my stuff is. You walk around some of the offices and you can look by the desk, you can figure out what kind of personality that agent is, right? So why is this important? We're not in the business of selling houses. We're in the business of dealing with people. And when you deal with a lot of people, the communication is key. I think it's absolutely critical. So when on a single transaction you have a dozen of people involved, right? It's not just your buyer, it's not just your seller, the mortgage company, the title company, the inspector, the appraiser, and so forth. You wanna make sure that you're communicating well with them, and you wanna make sure that you communicate with them on their level. So the key is, what we wanna do is determine what is their personality, what kind of person they are. A lot of the times they don't realize what we're doing, but that's what we're doing. We're assessing them and trying to figure out how can you relate to them on the same level, so that way they understand it, and in turn, to make your job easier, right? Because we have enough stress in our lives, work and family, okay? So let me give you an example. We have the DICS. D stands for dominating, I is for inspiring, C is for cautious, and S is for steady. So just to give you an example, in our profession, a D would be somebody who is a listing agent, right? A lot of the agents are, you are a driver, they're a demand, they're a direct. Okay, they're out there to get business. I's are somebody who is a buyer's agent, somebody who likes to work with buyers. Because all day long, you can have a conversation, drive around with people, talk and show houses and share stories. I'm definitely not that. I'm not a buyer's agent. And S, who is a passive, people-oriented, somebody who is steady and reliable. The security-oriented is somebody who is like a transaction manager, right? Somebody who is like a title clerk. They are happy to sit at their desk. They're happy to be buried with paperwork and have all their files, and that's what they want. They like that job security, and that's what their comfort level is. Somebody who is a C, who is a cautious, competent, calculating, and careful. It could be somebody who is an admin, right? Administrative assistant. They like to be dependent on. They like the fact that they're helping somebody, but they like the stability of their work and getting a paycheck. Where there are others who are D's and I's are running around, and if we don't get the business, we don't get paid, right? Because we're all commission-based. So knowing who we are and who we're dealing with is going to make or break deals. And I'll give you some examples from my own personal experience. So how can we, by knowing your opponents or your partners or somebody else's personalities, how is that going to increase your business? Believe me, it does. So for example, if you are going out on a listing appointment, and I'll give you a specific example of something that happened 2 weeks ago. I was making phone calls to the neighbors of the townhouse I just sold. And one happened to be, I said, are you potentially thinking about selling? And she's like, well, in fact, yes, I am. I'm planning on putting my house on the market on May 1st. I'm going to interview 3 agents. Call me tomorrow. I said, okay. So I called her back the next day. And I said to her, I said, great, so you are, and I have, you have your list of questions that you want to ask so that you can determine what kind of person they are and what they're looking for. That is key. And I asked her, what are you looking for in an agent? And she told me, I want it straight to the point. I want constant communication. I want great photos. She gave me everything that she was looking for. She said, I am an interior designer, so I understand about staging. I understand how it needs to be set up. I'm very involved in my community. I know what's going on. So that tells me that this person is a D, and she's driven, right? She's direct. She told me exactly how it is. And she's also either a C or an S, based on the phone calls that I talked to her, because she knew she had her list. She was going to interview 3 people. She wanted to know exactly what was happening. So what I ended up doing is I dropped off a per-listing packet for her a weekend before my appointment for the following Wednesday. And I did it for the weekend, hoping that she had plenty of time, if she was still working, to review my information. And in that packet, I had my information about my professional photography. I also gave her a blurb or a description of another property that I have listed in New Jersey that had a touch of an interior designer and what my description was, because she told me that description to her was very important. She wanted specific verbiage because she wanted to reflect her touches on the description that the buyers have read, okay? However, knowing that she was a D, I came to that appointment prepared for battle, because Ds are usually, they're going to fight you on the price because they think they know it all, right? They're going to fight you on some other things that you think are better for them because they think they know it better than you and anybody else, okay? So I came in there, and the way I presented myself was as if we were already working together. So I asked her, I was like, is there any items that you would like to leave in the house? And she's like, yes, I'm thinking about it. So I said, okay, well, why don't you make me a list so that way I have that handy when I am talking to potential clients. So I assumed we were already working together, so that's a little point. And she's like, oh yeah, I already did that for you. So that was my first clue. So basically, by the end of that appointment, I didn't have to fight on anything. She never ended up interviewing anybody else because I gave her exactly what she wanted. And that's why I think, and that's a $370,000 listing. I already signed paperwork, So she didn't even want to interview anybody because I told her what she wanted to hear based on some key questions that I asked. All of you guys should be using like a seller information sheet, which is the key questions that you want to be asking. Who, why, when you need to be there, tell me about your home. And key questions you should be asking is, what are you expecting of your agent? Because they'll tell you exactly what they want to hear, and that's exactly what you tell them when you meet with them. Right? And then there won't be any arguments.
Where is that form?
I can scan that in and send it to you. And then on the top, you can just put down personality, so you remember, and you make notes for yourself. And the same thing when you come to the house, just like I did. I came into her house. It was impeccable. It was not a dirt, not a scratch, no pop nails, no nothing. So you know exactly that she's a D because of her personality, but she's meticulous because she knows exactly what she hates the mess. She hates all that, issues. And she told me, I'm not going to have any problems at the inspection. It's actually going to be a pleasure to sell that home. Okay? So when you come into the house, besides talking to somebody and thinking, okay, they might be a certain letter, when you actually come in and look at the house, you can actually confirm what personality they are. Look around. If you see a bunch of photos, if they start talking and they don't just be quiet and let you talk, you know that they're an I because they're a personable person. Your job is to become a chameleon. Whether you like it or not, you have to transform yourself into an identical person almost, and you need to mirror their personality because that's how they're going to relate to you. And people like to work with people they like. Right? They're not going to work with somebody who they don't trust or they don't just connect and enjoy. I've had that today. I had a listing appointment and I was sitting there, I'm like, I can't get a read on that person. I know she's an attorney. And there's like a laundry list of things that I would rather her do, but I can't figure out if are we connecting or we're not connecting, so I have to go back. And that was difficult. It actually made me uncomfortable because I wasn't sure which way this was going to go. We didn't even talk about the price, because I didn't feel comfortable to even go there. Okay, so that's why this is important in terms of talking about strategy. You're getting ready for an appointment. You have to just think strategically on how you're going to connect that with that person. And that's not just the one example. I have plenty more. If you're working with buyers, the same thing. If they sit down and they have a stack of papers nice and neat and they have a list of requirements that they want in a home, you have an idea of what kind of personality they have, and that's exactly what you give them. Here's a list, give them a binder. Here's a list of homes we're going to see, give them a highlighter, give them some post-it notes, because they like that stuff, because that's what makes them comfortable. That's just what their personality is. And they don't realize that you are trying to mirror them or try to become them. All they're seeing is that you are communicating well with them on their level. And again, people do business with people that they like, right? So, let's see another slide, which you don't have, but I'll show you, is ask people what kind of work do they do, because that will give you another clue as to their personality. Somebody who's a D, a lot of the times have management positions. Okay, somebody who's a business manager, principal, business owner. You notice a lot of the CEOs are driven, right? They have plans, they have goals, they're looking forward and trying to accomplish their personal objectives and their business objectives. Somebody who's an influencer, who's an expressive person, who is an I, are going to be your salesmen, reporters, actresses, administrators. Those are the people, the life of the party. Happy? Making the rounds. That's totally not me. And then you have the steady people. These are the people I always my two things that I always look for is, are you nurses and your teachers and social workers? Those are the people, they like steady income and they like to help others, right? They will go out of their way to help. And there's another list, and I can email this list to you. And the people that are in compliance are somebody, again, also nurses, secretaries, accountants, engineers. You know, if you see somebody who's an engineer, you know they're gonna be looking for checklists, items to do. When you're sending them emails, you wanna put it in bullet points, because they like that stuff. They like order, they like to see it all, you know. If it's all chaos and you're doing different things and you're throwing the information at them, they might become upset and agitated and stressed out because it's not organized. So just keep that in mind when you're dealing with different people. And if you're going out on an appointment, or if you're going to be working with buyers, you could have a husband who's a D and a wife who's in a C. So you have to talk to them in their own language and adjust it. I know it's not, it sounds more complicated than it is, but you just have to be aware of what type of personality they are and address both of them, and they will appreciate it. Okay? Any questions so far? Does this make sense? Okay.
I just want to clarify, just so, it's the highest number circled, that's what letter you are
You used the highest two on the
Okay.
left column,
on the left column.
because the left column says it's me.
Right, so
that's
this would be me,
Mhm.
and this is what's set,
Right,
so
so
the
you-
highest,
You check,
Number.
look for the highest two numbers.
okay,
If you have one that is predominantly, one that sticks out predominantly, that would be your highest number. But I found most of the people are probably a combination of two.
What's the number 5 for? There's no letter above it.
I have no idea why it's even there, but it's not used in the grading.
I was worried.
No, don't worry. Okay. Back to the packet that I gave you. Flip over to a page called Communication.
I think that's from 3 months ago. I communicate, I talk. How could I be a C?
Here's what you're looking for, you know, when we're talking about communication in working in this business, for different personality, you want to be at a different level, sort of the communication. When somebody who is a G, they will interrupt you, right? They will speak freely, they are not as good at listening. And to me, that's so frustrating, because I'm very short-tempered. That's me, and I have to work on not interrupting, and my husband is constantly, reminding me, like, invisible crack on the, so that's, I'm working on that. I've gotten a little bit better. Somebody who's an I is gonna continue talking and talking unless you stop them or actually tell them something, So for different personalities, you have to be aware of and learn different communication methods to be effective. Somebody who is a C and S, they're always quiet, right? You're coming into the appointment and they're like, I have to review this information, I can't make that decision right now. And you're like, what else is there to review? Let's sign the papers, let's get a move on, right? But you can't do these to these people, because they will actually get agitated and they'll think you're coming on too strong, and they're like, oh, I need some time to think about that. Do you give them their space, or you say, listen, I understand that you want to think about it. And that's where some of the scripts can come in and say, let's do it this way. Let's just sign the documents right now. I'll put it aside, you sleep on it, and then give me a call tomorrow. But at least if you decide to work with me, we're ready to go, because everything is signed. So it's not a threatening way. Otherwise, they are going to feel threatened if you're coming on too strong. I'm talking to for sale by owner right now, and it's a hilarious conversation. I don't even know if I want to even work with her. But when I called her originally, I said, I drove by your sign, which I did. I said, are you still selling your home? Yes, and I am frustrated, and she's a very frustrated person, because it sounds like the house needs a lot of work, and she had it on the market with somebody else for 37 days, and so forth. And I told her, I was like, listen, I said, I will be honest with you, I don't have a buyer for you, but I do want to schedule an appointment to come in and see if maybe we can work together and I can help you. That's all I told her, because I could hear her, she was very defensive. I am not signing anything, she said to me. I was like, I'm not going to ask you. I said, maybe I can't help you, and I'll tell you that right away. Well, she called me back 3 times yesterday. Do you do open houses? Can you come in today at 2? No, open houses, let's talk about it when I see you. And no, I can't come at 2 o'clock because I already have appointments. How about Tuesday or Wednesday? And then she called me back again this morning about her schedule for tomorrow. You know, so it's funny, but you just have to adapt to that. You know, I'm thinking for her, what is there to think about? You need to sell your house. Let's put it on the market. Let's get it sold. That's what in my head. But in her head is no. I feel uncomfortable. I'm insecure. Everybody else is calling her, wants her to sign papers. I'm not going to be like that. You know, and she called me twice yesterday, like I was in the movies with my.
So would you say she's a C?
Yeah, she's a C. And she doesn't like to have people who are pushy. She told you exactly what she doesn't like, so don't be pushy, right? And maybe that's why she called me a few times. Because I told her, it's like, let's just talk. That's all it is. I said, I live right around the corner. I can come in and talk to you. And she started going on about commission and the contracts. I said, you know what? I said, I work for you, so you tell me what you're comfortable with. The job is to get the home sold. I'm not there to waste your time or money, right? That's the truth.
That's a low rate, this
Huh?
speech for almost everybody.
Right, but then, you know, others who are trying to really sell, I would hate that for me, myself, if somebody did it to me. So I don't do that to others, and they appreciate that. So just figure out what their personality is and treat it as such. See what they don't like and don't do it. Be a good listener. That's what I did. I sat there and I listened to her ramble on about appointments and her not feeling well and taking antibiotics and whatever else that she had to tell me.
What happens if you can't get them talking to figure out what they are?
If you can't get them to talk, then they're a C or S.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That is the fact. But then you do need to get in front of them so you can show them, listen, I'm not threatening. I'm not like that. Here's the information I'm here to provide for you. Let's make a decision. Are we a good match or not? That's it. You want to think about it? Okay, go think about it. I don't like pushy people for me, and I don't do it to others. All right, next page is ideal environment. How are we going to help them, right? So we learn how to communicate with them. Ideal environment is how we're going to deal with these different personalities. And this, I added this to your handout for a couple of reasons. For example, if you're working with somebody who is a C or an S, and there's a list of things that they need to do in their house. I don't know, paint, put new carpet in. You give them a checklist. You give them a homework, right? Make a list and say, okay, here's your homework. This is what we need to do to put your home on the market. And they're going to treasure that thing like it's something special because they like it. Their personality likes that stability and the checklist that they can actually, okay, I painted, they actually put a check mark next to it, right? Then they do something else, they put a check mark. They like having that. That is their personality. If you were to throw at them and say, okay, I need you to do this, this, and that, if it's not in writing, they're going to freak out. All right, somebody who is a D, you don't give them a flowery explanation, you should give them straight to the point. This is what it's going to take to get your house sold. You need to do this, you need to do this, then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do that. They want it short and sweet and to the point. Somebody who's an I, yes, you're going to have to talk a little bit more to them. Give them maybe the background story as to why and so forth. But still a good idea to put it on paper so that way they don't forget, right? Because they're told you about a million other things, they're going to forget what we talked about in the beginning. Okay,
And
so
you have a paper for that also?
in terms of the checklist,
Yeah.
you can just type it up in the email and send it to them, or you can make it in the Word document and just say, okay, things we need to get done before putting your home on the market. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My suggestions, something like that.
Okay.
And then make it into a Word document. You can attach it to the email. And also ask them, how do you want me to communicate with you? Do you want me to text you? Or do you want me to call you? When is the best time to reach you? Do you want me to mail documents to you or drop them off because you like paper file, or do you want everything email? That's important too, because that, again, you serve to their comfort level. And those are the questions that you should be asking ahead of time in the beginning. before you talk to them. Have them fill it out for you.
Is that on Dotloop, or do you made that
No,
up?
this is one of the basic ones that I got from somebody else, but I can scan that in. And you can add your own other questions in there, it's not complete. You know, the questions you ask is your expectations of an agent, how do you want me to communicate with you? If you want me to text you, or how late can I call you, right? That's important. If something comes up, you need to talk to them. Do you want me to call you? Do you want me to text you first and you're gonna call me back? 'Cause, you know, if it's during the day, you're gonna call them and they're in the meeting, they're gonna get mad. We don't want them mad, right? Because we're working together to get stuff done. So this one was. All right, the next one is areas for growth. This is what I need to work on, this is my list. So whichever personality you are, this is your to-do list. To be better at what you do. So I, as a DC, need to strive to be better an active listener, less controlling and domineering, be attentive to other people's ideas, develop a greater appreciation for opinions, put more energy in personal relationships. This is why I don't have an office in here. I work from home when there's nice and quiet. I go and hide. I come in here, I get all my energy. I'm like, hey, time to go. Okay, be friendlier, more approachable. My husband constantly tells me that because my husband is an I and an S. And he always tells me, Olga, smile. Whatever, you know, if we're going to a function, this is not a funeral. And I'm like, thank you. So we work good together as a team, okay? And the other thing that I found personalities-wise key is not just for business, it's for your personal life too. I learned more about my husband, and he's just knowing that he's a different personality. Different way of speaking to each other has helped too, you know, working through things. And sometimes I'm, you know, a hothead. I'm like, okay, I have this is about to explode in my transaction. I'm like, okay, here's what's going on, and I just spit it all out for him. And I'm like, okay, I need you to sort it out and put it on shelves for me because I just can't wrap my head. And that's exactly what he does. He'll listen to me. He'll sit there and he's like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm like, okay, this is so much better, and I feel better. So we complement each other. We help each other. The same thing you can apply to this pretty much to anywhere. Your kids, your friends, in-laws, however you want to, you know, it really does help to understand it's not just the person's trying to be spiteful to you, right, or saying something to you. It's just their personality, and they may not realize that you have a different personality, and sometimes those clash, right? And sometimes you can't find that common language because you're trying, but the other person is not, then you sometimes have to go your separate ways. But if you truly understand this, and when you leave today, as you drive, you'll see, you can even figure out personality by the way people drive. You know, there's people who are like, no blinker, no nothing, no seatbelt, there's your D. And I'm like, go right ahead. That's where, you know, I take a step back. And there are people who are, you know, I'm not going to go above 1 mile above the speed limit. I follow the rules, right? And you can tell. You really can, and I think I found this a fun exercise when I realized how beneficial this is. And yes, it has increased my business because I was able to find a common language with people. And yes, it takes a lot of my patience to do that because sometimes you just.
After following this, will we change a little bit? Or we just stay the same, usually
I
just
don't know if
dealing-
you change or not.
I
think
think I'm
you-
too old to change.
I know that you grow personally and professionally from knowing how to work with people.
I
I
don't want
found
to
that
change.
true.
I mean, I like who I am, but I think I can maybe change the way I talk to people who are different than me.
Right, that's exactly what I found, is that personally it has enhanced my family life and my life with my husband, and it has enhanced my friendships, and it truly helped me understand and appreciate them, and also business-wise, I feel that I'm getting more business because I truly understand who I'm sitting across from. Just like I told you about this lady, she forgot to interview 2 other people. A couple years back, I went after an expired, and I didn't realize this was a $500,000 house until I pulled up. But on the phone, I asked him, I asked the husband, I said, why do you think your home didn't sell? He was very abrasive to me. He's like, well, this is your job to tell me. Right? So he was somewhere, at the end is actually at the end he was somewhere like an I and a C. And then when I walked into the house, because I didn't talk to the wife very much, the house was also immaculate, and she had a stack of questions, and she had 2 pans and the water. I'm like, okay, so we're over here somewhere too, right? And she was a D as well, because she's like, okay, Olga, we need a list, and this is how we're going to do this. And then she said to her husband, go get me that, and he went, so you could figure it out. But at the end of that meeting, yes, they gave me the listing, even though I was less experienced than somebody else in the interview, and I don't even know. But they liked my personality and how we got to connect. Even though, at the end of the transaction, my husband's like, Olga, what else do I need to do? How can I help you? He was very nice. It was just that, in the beginning, that was his personality. He didn't know me, he didn't trust me. And it's nothing for us. I would have gotten offended by it maybe if I didn't realize it's not him actually meaning to be like that, or maybe to sound insulting. It's just because of his personality. That's just how he is. And yes, that's our household, and everything worked out, and they moved to Washington, and they're all happy. So, question.
To figure out these personalities, I guess, would take some time and experience.
You believe it or not, it's once you start thinking about it, it will take you a lot faster than you think. It's not that hard. Because people project their personalities without thinking about it or without showing it on purpose. Walk around the office and you can figure out everybody's personality. You definitely can.
Have you been surprised by when you thought someone was this, and then if they did the test and they were this? Have you been ever surprised by that or not?
I don't know.
Okay.
My suggestion is get a copy of your test when you came in and compare your results. Because I don't know. This is the test that I just
No,
found.
I'm just
online.
wondering, like you, did you ever think someone was a certain way, and then they actually said, actually, I'm this and this? You know what I mean? I'm wondering if that.
I'm sure that your highest number you will be able to tell if you know the person a little bit. I won't be
Okay.
able to tell somebody's personality without being able to talk to them or being around them. Not enough time, But like I said, if you know people around the office, you will know their personality. You will know their highest number, but you may not realize what their additional number is.
Okay.
Not a lot of people know that I am very tidy with my paperwork. I actually like paperwork. Everybody else is like, papers. You walk into somebody's office and, you have pile, and then they're sitting in the middle. That would actually make me nervous. I start just like, oh my God, this is stressing me out, because not knowing what's in that pile, I can't do that. And they say, this is my organized mess. I have no idea what that means.
Neither did I.
Yeah, probably not.
I think we have the same personal home line too.
So that's my own personality, but people might know that I am a D, and some of you guys who know me well know that by 3:30 I'm done, I'm out of here. I've had enough, it's association, talking to people for the day. I'm going to go pick up my girls from school, but I really have enough conversation. I need a break now. Then I go read a book or whatever it is. And then it starts all over again in the morning. My husband can all day long talk to people, socialize. I start to twitch and I start to sit there and I'm like, time to go. I talk to everybody. It's done. We're not enough. So it really, I think this is one of the most important things in helping you with business and the personal life and friendships and so forth, is adapting and knowing you really do become a chameleon. You're green, I'm going to become green to help you. It's not easy, but yes, that needs to be done, and it will help. That's why I think this is one simple thing, right? It's free, but it will help you in your business once you kind of just get good at it. That's why the information that I provided, the specific pages, are strictly talking about what you can work on you, and how you can work on communication with your clients, and then you give yourself the tools to support with this, right? So when you're calling somebody, have that questionnaire, try to figure out what their personality is based on the way they're talking to you. And then when you meet with them, also try to figure out what kind of, where are we, how are we gonna communicate well together, and can we work together? And sometimes you won't be able to, sometimes you're like, okay, I can't do this with these people, it's just, you know, sometimes it happens, you have absolutely no connection with them, and that's okay too. I have fired clients before, it made me feel so much better, it was a lot of stress off your shoulders. So that's why, this is my class, I think I pretty much covered everything that I wanted to cover. Questions?
Keep them short, she doesn't want to talk. I'm sorry.
No, I'm looking at the clock, I have 11 minutes.
Because we probably know I'm not a D.
Well, you know what? This I'm passionate about because I really truly think this is a benefit for anybody, business or personal. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions, but.
I made, for Mother's Day last year, I made everybody in my family sit down and take the test. And I found it to be very beneficial. Because
I'm trying to analyze the family right now.
I'm an I and an S, and my husband is a
Where can you
DC,
get-
and we just kept, but
What is your husband?
a DC, very little C. But it was like, he can't wrap his mind around me, and I can't wrap my mind around him. So it was, so now when I approach it, it has been beneficial to them and my kids. Because my one son's a CS, and that's a difficult one.
My daughter's a DI, without a shadow of a doubt.
Well, there you go. But see, it helps you when you understand what their personality is. It helps you on how you even maybe phrase your question.
But we get on really well, we have an amazing relationship, the two of us,
Well,
even though
because
we're
you
totally
have-
opposite.
Right, and that can be done, it's just you, as long as you adapt how you talk to that person. Because now I know with my husband, sometimes he'll, you know, come home from work and he's giving me the story of his life of what happened, and I'm like, I said, and I will stop him, right? Because I give him this chance to speak, and I'm like, and I won't interrupt because I'm learning not to do that, right? Because he'll tell me, you interrupted me again. I say, okay, can you condense your story? And he will do that because he'll understand, because that's just me. And he'll understand that rather than start yelling at me and say, you don't ever listen to me, because that's what happens, right?
And that's the D part of your personality?
What's the other, what are you, D?
I'm a GC.
Okay.
C is because I like organization. I will research something. I don't just jump in with both feet. I need to research, figure out, I like it and that, but then I don't research for too long, right? Because I don't have the patience to do that. But I still do. And I like my paperwork. I like stuff in order. You know, so that's where my C comes in. And sometimes it does drag me down because I'll sit there and I research and I don't take action. So that I have to work on as well. But once you realize your weaknesses and the things that you need to work on in order to improve, not just for you, but when you're working with others, it really just, I'm like in 2012, I'm like, this is the highlight of the year. I actually learned about this, and I'm like, why did nobody tell me about this in the beginning? Right? Let me see, there's one more page. What did I put on the last page?
Oh, it's relating to.
Relating styles.
Okay, so it gives you some ideas. If you are D, how do you relate with somebody who is S or C? You know, you're dealing with somebody, so be prepared and specific. Don't use generalities. They are going to want an explanation, not a debate, so don't argue with them because that will put them off. Somebody who is an I, like my husband, you have to be enthusiastic and you need to talk to them, so you need to listen, and you can't control the conversation because they don't like that. Although you're probably going to have to try because they will just keep on talking, right? If you don't tell them, okay, let's talk about what we're here for. You just have to do it carefully. So that's why I think this is critical. I really do think so. Does this make sense a little bit? You will hear other industry experts separate the personalities with different letters, but really the gist of each personality is the same. It may represent, you know, they say a D is a tiger, and that, you know, they have animals. An I is, I don't remember, a fox or something like that, and then, you have different animals, but really, what each personality is the same. They pretty much narrowed it down. So, Keller Williams is big on training and on helping you understand this, because when you, let's say if you do decide to have a team, and you decide, let's say, to hire an administrative assistant, you're not gonna hire an admin who's a D personality, right? Because that's just, it's not gonna work. They don't have the patience to sit and do this, they hate paperwork most of the time. So when you hire somebody, the first thing you wanna do is give them the DISC test. Because if they're not the right match on the personality, they're not gonna do the job right. And they're not gonna last, because that is just not their natural personality, their comfort level. So this is what I wanted to share with you today.
Okay.
Questions, comments, concerns?
Is there anywhere we can get more copies of this, like blank ones, like?
I have it as a PDF, so I can, are you on our Facebook page?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just add that as a file on there. And it's basically what you have in your hand. The first 2 pages is the test, and the rest is, the sheets of explanation.
The Keller Williams Facebook
You
page?
need to get on that.
It really
No,
was.
I did go on it
And it helped me,
and I
'cause I'm just
friended
saying them.
some people, I don't think I saw them,
Okay, so those people need to add you into the group.
which they did,
Okay, so
Tracy did.
you're already in the group?
I think so.
Okay, well, I'll put that file in there.
Technologically challenged.
Yeah.
It's all right, we'll work on that.
And I
We'll work
really-
on that.
Okay, but you are on the Keller Williams Facebook page, right? Not your personal one.
I have my personal, but what I'm referring to here, the sharing of the files and the video, that's gonna be on the Keller Williams Langhorne.
And you can put those 2 on that as well?
I
or-
could do that, yes.
or
These
would
are
you-
basic buyer information sheet and seller information sheet. So I'll put that on
They get it.
as a file.
Let's see if I'm on it. 'Cause I don't know, I went.
Thank you.
No problem.
See, I would never have figured